Hello, and welcome to Talk the Block, the show where we ask the question, will Taniya ever win? I'm Amy, and I am here with my high-rolling co-host, Steven. Steven, how are you today?
Lay it down. Here we go. Lucky number 9. Woohoo!
Yeah, so this was a big week for Rock the Block, the kitchen week. Normally the first week of the season, but this week we sort of saved it and built up to it. And it did not disappoint. What did you think, Stephen? Were you happy with the work that the teams did this week?
Yeah. See, well, I mean, it's kind of the same story, different week. I mean, I hate to throw a couple teams under the bus, but the thing that was the most surprising to me when they put up the stats, and we've got the diagram here of what they showed us, and the dining kitchen area was only 60 square feet less than that cavernous room that they did last week. That was kind of a surprise. I didn't think that it was going to be quite that square footage. But it was. And some of the teams, I think that you could take composites. If you could take a composite from all the different teams, you might actually have a decent space. I don't think any one team really came out hot.
Yeah, I think you're right, Stephen. I mean, I think all teams sort of had their ups and their downs. There were some that did beautiful kitchens, but sort of blew it in the breakfast area, and there were some that
split their tens.
Some that had a really nice breakfast area or back kitchen, but didn't have the best kitchen, right? So right. I think the winner was the one who sort of like, if you average it out between the three areas, that must be, well, actually, I think I can tell you why they won, and it seems to be an ongoing theme this year. It's all about the layout. So,
it's all about the layout.
No, and I think Kim and Chelsea won last week because they had such a great layout. Their house really flowed. Right. And we noticed the shot where they showed the judge coming into their house this week really showed off how great that design was and how great the flow was of their house.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why they won. And I think this week it turned out to sort of be a flow issue that probably put the winning team over the top. Would you agree with that, Stephen?
Yeah, I think so. And going back to last week, we had some discussions with fans of the show and fans of our show who thought that it was a total miss, which you and I did the first time we watched as well. But I do think the shot this week when Paige walks into Kim and Chelsea's really gives you that complete package as to what the look and feel was, and I think that's why they won last week. So I would encourage anybody that is still confused about last week to go back and to see that particular shot again. But yeah, the layout worked. Scott and Brooke deciding to make the den into a dining room really paid off this week with having that entryway from the second kitchen / butler's pantry into the dining room. And yeah, I think that really kind of paid off for them. Not as clear cut of a win. I think they did have some real challenges and expensive challenges to fix, but all in all, yeah, I think the right team won.
Yeah, I'm still on the fence a little bit. I understand why they won, but it was not my favorite kitchen, and we'll get into that a little bit more as we talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like everything else. All the teams when they're doing all these different spaces can do one really well and kind of mess it on the other, and then it's the entire putting it all together that and the judge's opinion too. Sometimes one judge might pick one team and another judge might pick another team.
Paige is a double island girl,
and
they're the only ones who did a double island. So that clearly
she likes her step
her.
ladders, her little library ladders too. So
yeah. And then, what was I going to say? I was going to say something about the show overall. Yes. So this episode convinced me more than ever that these teams think through the whole house and have sort of the basic design and layout of the house figured out before they go into the first space. I mean, I know it sounds like they see the houses for the first time on that first day and they run in and they design the whatever the first room in this case, it was the main suite, based on that first vision. But I really think that they have a plan for the whole house overall. Maybe they haven't made all the decisions on the design, but they've planned it out and planned out their budget to some extent. And there are two things this week that made me think that. I believe that Scott and Brooke knew they would do that butler's pantry type thing to the dining room, and that was deliberate the first week, putting the dining room there and having that pass through from the kitchen to that as the dining room. That wasn't just happenstance. And then also, I think that Mina and Vernon are saving their pennies for something big that they're going to do later on. I think they're planning on a pool or something like that, and I think they're deliberately spending less than the other teams on these initial spaces so that they can make a big splash at the end. So that's my theory. We'll see. But I think they're just not going to happen to have a lot of money left over and do a big thing at the end. That has been part of their plan from the beginning.
Well, I hope so, because it would be a shame for them to have money left in the budget when they're done. I got 4 weeks to go. They have the most money left, 130. Followed closely by Kim and Chelsea, who spent very little last week. But Mina and Vernon haven't been at the top end of spending, and they've been near the bottom end every week. So, yeah.
So I think they've got something planned.
They got something planned, and I don't know. Taniya and Drew, they're done.
Well, they've spent a lot of money on flashy, high-end
decisions, bad decisions, expensive
decisions. And now
decisions.
they don't have much to build the house. The only thing I can say is thank goodness Drew talked her out of that walked-in refrigerator idea. OMG.
Are we going to... Yeah, well, okay, let's not talk about the teams in specific yet, but in that in general, she could have done something, I think, that was not quite as big. I think that a smaller potential walk-in fridge might have been more acceptable, and I wasn't going to get them to win. There was no way they were going to win this week with everything else that they did. But I think it would have been consistent with your idea that it's planned to be a celebrity rental. And celebrity rental, somebody's going to entertain, somebody's going to want to have plenty of food in there for their private chef to come in and be able to create all this stuff for their guests. And I think, just having a regular refrigerator isn't going to cut it when it comes to that type of a scenario, and having the walk-in would have been more consistent with their theme if that's what they're going for.
Oh, okay.
But not that we're talking about them yet.
No, we're not. But what we are going to do is take a quick break before we get to our first house. So we'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. And Stephen, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling kind of smoky sexy.
I don't know. So many things about this team. Kim making all of her pronouncements. She doesn't want 2 microwaves. She doesn't want 2 refrigerators because she can't be bothered to check to see what's in one and what's in the other. And doesn't want 2 dishwashers because she can't even figure out whether what she's got in the dishwasher is clean or dirty. We have 2 dishwashers. We don't use them all the time, but if you are going to have a bunch of people over, like we host Thanksgiving every year, much to my sorrow, but we so many dishes and whatnot. We got both those dishwashers going at the end of the meal, and you can still have, and we're still hand washing stuff. So, having 2 dishwashers is really nice. I didn't know it until we had it. I mean, we've never had it before now, and we only have we've got refrigerators, mini fridges in our media room, but in our old house we had 2 refrigerators because we took the old refrigerator and put it in the garage, which was great because that's where we put all the stuff that we wanted to have and have chilled, but we didn't want it in our way all the time, like beer or soft drinks, and then it was extra storage for things, and it was right there in the garage, so you didn't have to carry things through the house. And then if you needed, you could go get it. So having 2 refrigerators was pretty handy from that standpoint. We have 2 microwaves, which is great because, that way we're not waiting on each other. So her whole thing about the not wanting to, I think is not very smart. The pronouncement she made about the mirror we'll get to later, but yeah, the whole 2 thing. They're bad thinking that's going to cause them not to win. I'm disappointed in this team.
Yeah, I was disappointed too. I mean, I think a lot of modern home buyers at this price point want 2 dishwashers. They want 2 microwaves. And a lot of people have 2 refrigerators. I mean, my dad is 85. He lives by himself, and he has the fridge in the garage and the fridge in the house.
Yeah.
And he uses the fridge in the garage for beers, soft drinks, things like that he doesn't want every day, but they have to stay chilled. And when somebody comes over, they're available.
They're there.
So
they're ready. Yeah.
I think that's very common that people want that. So it was disappointing that
and he doesn't have a $3 million house.
Yeah, that's true. But one thing I do think every homeowner wants is a dining room that looks like an upscale Denny's.
Yeah.
That is a selling point.
Jiminy Cricket. They took out windows. They put in that huge banquette. Bad decision after bad decision after bad decision. Oh, your kids are going to have their friends over. You're going to need this much space. And then as soon as one kid wants to go to the bathroom, they've all got to get up and get out of the way.
Or climb under the table.
They probably would climb under the table, but, as an adult, not many adults are going to climb under the table. Well,
I just know
maybe after a few
most
beers,
homes do not need that big of a banquette unless you have a really large family that you want to eat there on a regular basis. A built-in like that makes no sense.
Right, especially with, as you pointed out, no storage.
Yeah. Last year, Cole and Chelsea did a banquette, not as big as this one, but they were smart and they put drawers on the bottom of it or cabinets or something so that you could store things there. This was just a big frickin' banquette with no storage, no nothing.
I mean, they could have done like half of it. One corner have been the banquette, and I think that would have made sense. But what they did makes no sense at all. And then the thing that also gets me is you saw Paige walk around it. And so the table doesn't extend over the seating area. So if you're actually trying to eat, how are you going to do that? I mean, you're going to have to be sitting on the edge of your chair in order to reach your food.
Yeah, you're going to need a bigger table.
Especially if they're kids, right?
Yeah, a bigger table for that, which apparently they couldn't get in time from Wayfair, or put 2 small tables and really make it look like a Denny's. That's another option you could do. But yeah, I don't understand. Like, they could have done a small corner banquette or do one wall maybe as a banquette and do the other ones with a table. But what they did is not practical for most home buyers.
And no window treatments, no nothing.
I liked that they put in the bigger windows. I thought that looked
the bigger
good.
windows, but they could. I think if they had, they had all that paneling that they did in other places, which was inexpensive and easy to do, and it would have made that room look a lot more finished if they had done that.
Do one wall and that to add a little bit of interest. That's a great idea, Stephen. I love it.
Yeah.
The only thing I will say is I'm glad they didn't choose Kim's fabric for the banquette, because the fabric they chose...
that was awful.
Yeah, fabric they chose, at least it sort of aligned with what they had done with the fireplace, so it was cohesive with their house. But I thought that banquette was a big swing and a miss, to use a baseball metaphor.
Yep.
Their kitchen overall, okay, so loved the stone in the island, full stop. Same one they used for the bar last week. Oh, gosh,
yes, absolutely. That granite's gorgeous.
It was really beautiful.
All of that, the look of the kitchen, when you're looking at it with regards to the great room and everything, just looks so cohesive, too. And then you get to the... What they kept changing the name. It's listed as dining. What were they calling it? A breakfast area,
morning room.
Room. It's like, figure out what you're going to call it and stick with it. You know, the show
I
kept switching.
I think they used it in different ways. So depending on how the team decided to use it, it was called something different.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it looked okay, but it was very impractical. Another thing that actually I thought looked good, but was completely impractical, was that mirror behind the stove. So the mirror behind the stove was pretty. It looked nice with that beautiful dark stone that they had. And however, even though I love my life and I live my life, I do not want to be cleaning a mirror behind the stove every time you cook. And every time you cook, grease is going to splatter on that mirror, and it's going to look ugly, and it's going to drive me crazy. And so every single day, I'm going to be wiping down that mirror. Now, if you're already OCD and you wipe down everything after you cook anyway, maybe it doesn't make a difference. But for me, that would be, a no-brainer. It's the same reason I don't like glass coffee tables. They might look cool, but you put anything on them, it's going to show. Yeah.
No, and Kim's statement there, I thought, was uncalled for. I mean, she wants to feel that way, great, but it's not making her endear her to me. And the more choices they make like this, the less I'm endeared to this team anyway. But yeah, being the one that cooks most of the time, the mirror's there, it's not there. Yeah, I don't really care. I think it's more of a distraction. Maybe you get used to it, but I don't know. I think as far as things that they could have done, what did we get a price on that?
We didn't get a price.
We didn't get a price on the mirror. Yeah, but I mean, if that was the only thing that they had done, then fine. But the fact that they've got the windows on either side and then they've got the open shelving in front of them, I mean, holy cow. I mean, bad decision after bad decision after bad decision.
I started to make a list of pet peeves during this episode. As you know, my number one pet peeve is wine as art.
Right.
But I would say shelving in front of windows is another pet peeve.
Okay.
And mirrors in front of windows, I don't like that either.
Yeah.
You have a window, you don't have a window, don't put shelves in front of it. I think it just looks cluttery. It looks like those shelves don't really belong there.
Yeah. Had a window, we wanted shelves, we couldn't figure out what to do, so we just put shelves in front of the window.
Yeah. I mean, if they really wanted light, they could have been just like little small horizontal windows at the top to allow some light over the shelving or something.
Yeah.
That would have arced back to the sort of long linear fireplace they did.
Right.
But what they ended up doing, it didn't work for me.
No, it didn't work for me too either. And I don't know if the windows were that great. But it just, I mean, we're not talking about the pantry, but I just started wondering because, we were talking about getting light into the room and nobody put skylights in last week. And I thought, the pantry would be another place where, a skylight would have been really nice. And I don't know if this would have been another opportunity if they wanted light to put in a skylight. Maybe they can't. But I mean, it's a one-story house, so not exactly sure. And these are near the walls, so I'm not exactly sure why they wouldn't be able to put a skylight in. But nobody seems to be taking a look at that particular option. But yeah, the windows on either side, they bring light in light, but
there was one team that put a window in the back kitchen.
Scott and Brooke.
Scott and Brooke did.
Scott
Okay.
And Brooke did,
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. Well, let's talk about their second kitchen or their back kitchen, which was very necessary since they chose not to put the refrigerator in the main kitchen.
Right.
Another decision that I don't really get.
Well, and like Paige said, it's not a second kitchen.
It's a
kitchen extension. So you're not going to get the appraisal value of a back kitchen. You've got a kitchen.
Yeah, and it's not a terrible decision to just use that to make the kitchen bigger, but it still kind of looked like a second kitchen. It was designed differently. The cabinets were different. The lighting was different. So it looked like a different room. But I think, you use your refrigerator when you're not cooking.
Yeah, all the time.
You might want water, or you might want a piece of fruit or a yogurt or something, and you're not cooking when you need to get those things, right?
Yeah.
So the fact that, you're going to optimize by putting the refrigerator next to the back kitchen where presumably you're doing your cooking, I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I think that that's a miss because they're on the appraisal, overall value appraisal, final appraisal, they're not going to get the value out of the work that they did.
Yeah.
Then the other teams are.
Yeah, because it's truly a full second kitchen.
So
this is not a second kitchen. It's part of the first kitchen. Yeah.
They left money on the table at the end.
It's part of the first kitchen. That
easy.
Without a second dishwasher.
Yeah.
And they also, there was a lot of design going on in that kitchen since I guess it was an extension and you saw that there were no doors. It had to look nice. But Stephen, what are your thoughts on the antique butcher block that they used as an island in the kitchen extension?
It was neither smoky nor sexy. And it was rather short. It came up to Kim's mid-thigh, and okay, maybe she's 5'11", 6 foot tall. But in order to use, and they're like, oh, yeah, this would be a great place to chop.
No, it was an uneven surface.
No. Yeah. And it looked, I'm sorry, I didn't think it looked that good. I thought it was a sore thumb. Now, Paige liked it, or said she did. No, that's easily fixed. Throw it out.
Yeah.
But no, that was a waste of money, waste of time. No.
It just didn't match their vibe either. I mean, I know they like to use antiques.
Yeah.
The antique fireplace that they had put in the bathroom did kind of have that smoky, sexy vibe, but this butcher block table really didn't match anything else they were doing. Yeah, it just looked like an old thing
here's
that
an
was
old
sitting
thing
there.
that's sitting around. It's like somebody's inherited it, and you feel like you've still got to keep it, and so you put it in your house anyway.
So you put it in the back kitchen.
You put it in the back kitchen, yeah. So no, but what seems to be my pet peeve this season?
What?
White outlet covers on dark material. There was that one view of Kim and Chelsea's kitchen from the dining area, the dining room or whatever they called it, from the banquette. And here's this beautiful green and black granite, and then right in the middle, there's that white outlet cover. And you see it on the other side too. And it's like, you know what? I've seen other teams had a black one, had a dark one. You don't need to go, hey, here's my outlet. Here's an outlet. Did you need an outlet? We got an outlet over here. I mean, come on, people.
Well, I mean, they're using your metric of how hard is it to fix. That's a super easy thing to replace.
I know, but just the touch, right? I mean, are these people really thinking through all of the details? And then the answer is no. Mm-hmm. No, I mean, that's a standout. I mean, they don't see it. I mean, it's easy. I mean, it's easy to have, hey, electrician, come in and do that. I mean, I swapped out all the ones in our kitchen. It doesn't take that long. Mm-hmm. It's not expensive.
Yeah.
It's just, it makes, when we redid our kitchen, we had white outlets on all that tile. And I looked at this, I said, that looks bad. So I went out and I got brown outlets and brown covers and redid everything. The switches, the outlets, everything. So and then they just faded away. So still knew where they were.
So not only because of the white outlet, but the outlet didn't help. I was not surprised that Kim and Chelsea didn't win this week. In fact, I do think their beautiful island and beautiful materials saved it from being sort of an unmitigated disaster, to tell you the truth. But overall, their house still looks good. I just feel like they didn't hit the jackpot with this kitchen.
No, they didn't. I guess look how expensive of a problem is it. I think their biggest problem is that the other teams are going to get an appraisal pop for having a back kitchen, and they're not.
Double refrigerator, double dishwasher, all those things. They're going to lose that.
They're going to lose on that. I mean, so what they did, I don't know. Can you put a refrigerator back into the kitchen? I mean, that might be an expensive switch. Maybe not, but yeah, just as far as their effort in this competition, I think that it to me, that's the biggest hit. Is the other teams are going to get something and they're not. Mm-hmm. So.
All right. So, let's take a quick break before we go on to the next team, shall we, Stephen?
You bet.
Okay, we're back, and I'm ready to talk about Mina and Vernon. Are you ready to talk about them, Stephen?
Yeah, I guess. What was it? Oh, yeah, books for decoration. Mina doesn't want to read, but she loves having books around for decoration.
I agree with books for decoration.
Yeah, but you read them. I mean, I've got books for decoration too, but I've read them. We read our books. That's what they're there for. They're not buy a bunch of books just so they look good on the shelf. I mean, I don't know.
Okay, well, I mean, since we're talking about their morning room, let's start with the morning room. They did a library in there. They put that whole back wall with bookshelves.
But they didn't have a ladder.
They didn't have a ladder. That was a miss.
I think that was that close to them winning the week.
Had they had a ladder?
I don't think it was that close, but.
Well, I mean, I thought that the bookshelves on that wall looked really good, and Paige had a great point in that the lighting that they chose for that room would allow it to easily be switched over to a dining room if they wanted to do that. And those shelves would have been fine in a dining room, too.
Yeah.
You could have decorated them with, various, knickknacks and what have you, or books or whatever. And
the bookshelves were really the only thing they did in there. Everything else was staging.
Everything else. But I thought it was staged nicely.
Yeah.
I'll give them that.
Yeah.
I thought their staging was good. They put a orange couch in there, which was a much needed pop of color because
this team is so averse to color.
They have really leaned into the neutral palette on this team.
Mainly white, but neutral. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of white. So when you walk in their house and you see the sort of the clear office/bedroom area and the white fireplace and the white walls and all the neutral, very clean, very open and light. So they have that going for them. But clearly, that's, a little color used judiciously would help them. But the thing is that, other teams like Kim and Chelsea have used a lot of color. If you like that look, it's going to really appeal to you, but it's not going to appeal to all buyers. Where a neutral palette like this, it's not really going to turn anybody off, and you can always add color if you want to. Yeah,
I think that I wanted to point out that they did have some really nice, I think they were Roman shades on the one, on two of the windows. So they did have some nice window coverings, which nobody seems to be doing a lot of window covering, which is fine. But, then you've got the windows that they're just kind of windows. But, the problem is kind of like the fireplace, where they had this expensive fireplace, which is too small, but then it was painted all the same color. And I kind of thought the hood was that way too. Paige called out, she said she liked it. But I think that when you look at the kitchen, it's just all white. And so there's nothing distinctive. So again, they could have done something that was a neutral palette that, kind of accentuates pieces of it in order to draw the eye to it so it's there, right?
Yeah, it's very sculptural. Like they did the white fireplace on the white wall, and then in the kitchen they did big white hood on a white wall.
All right.
And, at least it was consistent from one end of the room to the other, but it's not exciting. And then next to the oven hood, they just had some light fixtures. They were nice light fixtures, but no shelving, no upper cabinets. To me, this is impractical if you're cooking. I like to have like my olive oil, my cooking oil, my spices right there in easy reach. And you might say, okay, Amy, your mise en place is missing. You should have everything out that you need. But the reality, not being a professional cook, I don't always do that. And sometimes I need to grab something in the middle of the cooking. And, having cupboards there where you can store these types of things that may not be decorative, I find it to be very practical.
Yeah, I do too. I don't, I do really good mise en place, but I don't, those types of things I don't want sitting around on my counter. Use a lot of salt and pepper, use olive oil and put it away, but constantly using salt and pepper. And it's convenient that it's just up in the cabinet and not sitting on my counter because I've got all of my components for my dish kind of laid out on my counter as I need them. So kind of a nice little train headed toward the oven, and then having to manage the salt and pepper. I don't know. I think it's a little bit of a nitpick, but I do think it is. I think it is kind of a miss not having that storage.
Yeah.
And the lights, I don't know that really gains you anything, and kind of have this big open wall. So,
yeah, I mean, I think their choice of lighting fixtures was good. I liked those. And as you pointed out, the lights over the island were pretty. There's a question about whether they gave off enough light.
Didn't look like they might have been more mood lighting. Like, I don't know.
But it's hard to tell. But they were pretty, and I thought overall the look of their kitchen was cohesive. They had sort of the green gray cabinets. I don't normally like glass cabinets in the kitchen, but the fact that they used the reeded glass and it wasn't everything was glass, I think I can make that work. I'm just going to say the inside of my cupboards are not usually pristine. So.
No, a little dirty.
Well, not dirty, a little cluttery, yeah.
Yeah, well, here again, on the island, they had the brown wood and they had a white outlet cover. So who knew I was going to be a stickler for that this season? But yeah, I thought that looked good. I thought that the island was humongous. Vernon laid on it, had his arm stretched out, and he still didn't reach all the way across. And I don't get it. We went and I think it was Cole and Chelsea last year that had the massive island. And I didn't like it when I saw it on the TV show, and when I saw it in person, I still didn't like it. I am warming more toward the double island, but and we'll talk about that later. But as opposed to the massive island, I think
it's really big. You've got to use it they're planning to use it for prep and dining, but reaching the middle of it, you might have to be sliding things across like it's a bar.
Yeah.
As you're setting things up for your diners. Yeah. So it might have been a little bit of overkill there.
Yeah, I didn't mind it being long, but I think it being overly wide, because the issue is, can the average person reach things that are in the middle? Or are you just going to have this area that is kind of useless? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, whether or not it's pretty is one thing. Whether it's useful, I guess, is another question.
Yeah, and I did think the stone was pretty. And then their back kitchen, they had, the one thing I noted is they had storage all the way up to the top, which was smart. So a lot of good storage in this kitchen. The judge overall, their main comment was it was beautiful kitchen, but they played it safe creatively.
Right. And they said that in the interview at the beginning of the show, they thought they might have a problem because they were playing it safe. Now, they did use tile in the pantry or back kitchen, whatever you want to call it, and I don't think they got credit for that. It wasn't called out during the show either. I don't believe we saw anybody tiling, or they even really talked about it. But so I wasn't sure. I'm not exactly 100% sure I know what subway tile is, so I don't know if this was subway tile or not. But they did
vertical,
tile it.
So I don't think vertical is it might have been vertical subway tile, kind of looked like it. But that looked good.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought it did count. You had a different color, you had a little bit of texture. So, it didn't really. I don't know. In some places, it looked like the grout was dirty. So I don't. It looked a little weird, but that could have just been on TV.
Yeah, so. It's hard to say. Yeah. So anyway, I think they kind of played it safe. They're kind of playing it close to the vest, saving up their money. I think they're going to make a big bet later on. And they even said their philosophy is they're not trying to wow you with any one thing. They want the whole house to kind of hang together and the overall feel to be a winning feel. So, while they haven't won a space yet, they don't seem too upset about it. Mina would like to win a space, but I really think of all the teams, this team is playing the long game. They're really thinking about how is this house going to be appraised overall, and they're making decisions based on that, not based on creating a flashy space from week to week.
Yeah, if only they had been able to execute in the master closet or the primary, whatever.
Yeah, that was their one
closet,
big mishap was their primary closet.
The primary closet. If they had been able to execute there, I do think they got the value back by having the closet in the in the den to have another bedroom. So I think they netted out there on the final appraisal. I guess you have to start wondering when they're doing the kitchen and their big call out is their really nice drawer pulls that you just have to say this team is not planning on winning.
Yeah. And the drawer pulls were nice, but you're not going to win the kitchen based on the drawer.
No, not really.
Okay, Stephen, with that, let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. Okay, well, now let's move on to another week of heartbreak for Taniya.
Oh, we're going to Taniya. Okay.
Yeah.
I was ready to talk about Scott and Brooke, but that's okay. I don't care. That's
about them last.
Taniya, oh gosh.
I feel so bad for her. I mean, she's very talented. She has great taste. And she really, really wanted to win this kitchen. So,
I'm starting to think, the fact that Kim and Chelsea knew each other and they've done this before isn't really, it doesn't really seem to be the winning move either. But I really think that Drew and Taniya, the fact that they haven't worked together, don't have that relationship till they're working on it, is a problem. Because I think maybe if she had gotten Drew a little bit more involved on the really expensive, dumb purchases she made, that he could have pulled her back in and that they wouldn't be at the point where they got $90,000 left and 4 weeks to go.
And no wins.
Yeah. And the last 2 weeks, they had the highest dollar spend of any team and making not so good decisions along the way. So that's why I'm just starting to wonder, if maybe Drew being involved more earlier with some of this stuff instead of him just saying, "Oh, let her go do whatever." It's kind of the Achilles heel for this team.
Yeah, I mean, she buys stuff and then tells them how much it was. Like, how much was the hood? $9,300 for that oven hood.
Yeah,
so she makes these big splashy spends, and then she tells them how much it costs. So,
yeah.
But she is kind of a cheapskate. So, but it's maybe if there was more collaborative decision making on some of these purchases, it would help them at least not blow their budget.
Right. Yeah, and then at least if they didn't get the win, they're not down to $90,000 for the last 4 weeks, right? I mean, they're going to have to take a loan out on next season to. They have to promise to come back for another season, take a loan out on the next one in order to get through this one. I don't know what their interest rates are at the
Rock the Block.
Rock the Block, but
Well, okay, so let's start by talking about the good things here.
And we're done.
No, I thought their kitchen was. If you just look at the kitchen, I thought it was the most beautiful and practical kitchen. I really liked it.
It looked to me. The comment, what was it? The comment about Brooke and Scott and Brooke's great room that it looked lived in. Mm-hmm. That was kind of my impression for Drew and Taniya's kitchen. Was it looked like something somebody would use.
Yeah, it wasn't
not
just
a showpiece.
It was beautiful, but it was usable. They actually had upper cabinets.
Beautiful but usable. Beautiful but
livable luxe. They had cabinets next to the stove, which other people did not. Yeah. But they also had a nice little lighted shelf underneath those cabinets. So it wasn't like just a utilitarian kitchen with cabinets and a stove. There was a little shelf that if you wanted to put decorative stuff or something like that, you could, right?
Yep.
I really did like the hood for their stove. I know you didn't like it, but I thought it was really stunning, especially because the cabinets went up to the ceiling, the hood went up to the ceiling. The whole wall was very dramatic. And they also had the brass fireplace on the other end of the room. So I thought that was nice mirroring of that material on both sides of that room.
I think they could. I think they could have achieved the same result without spending $9,400.
Yeah. Okay.
I think. I mean, that's that. In the end, it did. It the whole thing looked pretty cohesive and it all looked nice. And for that reason, I don't really think the hood jumps out at you. And I think they still could have achieved that without spending almost $10,000. I mean, that's the cost value of these types of decisions. It just, and it obviously didn't get them the win. So was that a smart decision? I think they're right to try to bring make things look cohesive between the great room or family room, whatever you want to call it, and the kitchen. But I don't know that the $10,000 gamble was it's going to pay off.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. I mean, I did like it. I love the drama of it, but you're right. Was that worth $10,000?
Yeah,
it really
I think
depends.
they could have achieved it for less.
It's also one of those things that
they still got the spray paint.
Well, when I see that house in person, that'll be one thing, because I think some of these oven hoods, some of these materials, it's hard to understand what the impact is until you see them in person.
Yep.
Okay, another decision there were two more decisions in the kitchen that I thought were spot on the money. I really did love the rounded island. If you're going to have an island that's both prep and eat in, that rounded island, it was pretty, it was effective, and you're right, people could sit around there and talk, have a charcuterie board or whatever, and actually see each other. So I thought that was fantastic. And of course, I did love the library ladder in the kitchen and the fact that they had a little secret storage place for it. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, then they did the bullnose on the end of it to kind of highlight the curvedness of the whole thing. So the materials looked really pretty. That island was nice. The staging, I don't know that the chairs really appealed to me, but they did look cohesive with everything else. And I guess that was the one thing that connected the waste of staging dining room with the kitchen, or the lack of thought, whatever,
Yeah, the only thing that they got pinged on for the kitchen itself was that they didn't have an oven. And I don't know why they had just a stovetop with no oven in the main kitchen. That is kind of a weird
Because commercial kitchens don't have ovens, Amy. What?
Well, I think they might have won, except for the fact that their morning room or dining room, whatever you call it, was really an afterthought for them. And even though they opened up that back wall and put a nice big door in, and they put floor-to-ceiling windows where the sliders had been, which I thought was a good decision, they got no credit for it. I think because their staging really didn't highlight that decision. They did this interesting thing with the window, and then they just sort of shoved a nondescript table into the middle of the space,
right,
and put some curtains up so that you couldn't even see that was actually a whole wall of windows. The curtains was kind of hiding that. So I kind of felt like the things they did do, they got no credit for.
Yeah.
And frankly, from the TV shots, that room just looked boring.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they had a brass sink too, which I guess Paige did call out, but that was when they were kind of panning through, I kind of caught a shot of him like, oh, that's a nice little touch, kind of to bring things back in for the kitchen itself, yeah. And Paige kind of called it out, but it kind of got lost too. So I don't know, but yeah, the morning room was sliders and staging, and that was it.
And the staging was disappointing. I think with better staging, they could have gotten more credit for what they did there, and maybe more interesting lighting. I don't know. There's just Yeah,
I mean, they could have had a bookcase. I mean, Paige said, "Oh, they need to have a bookcase." Like a bookcase would have solved the problem.
Yeah,
I mean, if, in that case, I don't know what she's looking for.
I mean, they didn't have built-ins, and everybody else had built-ins in that space.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what she meant to say. So.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Anyway, we cannot talk about this team without talking about whether a normal family home really needs a walk-in fridge or not.
Yeah.
At $30,000 for a walk-in fridge.
Yeah. Yeah. We kind of a little bit behind the scenes. We were out of town this past weekend at a family wedding, and so we didn't get to see our initial viewing of the show until Tuesday night. By then, I had already gotten a text from one of our fans that said just 3 words: walk-in fridge. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I need to know a little bit more about this one. As I said, I think that given, I don't think it would have given them a win. But if their idea is to have a celebrity rental, I think a toned down, what they showed in the versions with the thing being 20 foot long. I mean, when I was the salad pastry chef for Daryl's restaurant years ago, and so I've been in and out of my share of walk-in freezers, and they're pretty big. And I don't think that necessarily they needed to do. They could have had a toned down version of it to maybe at 5 feet. I do think if the goal is something along the lines of having it be that kind of an entertaining space, that having something like that would be beneficial. Because if you're doing a family, you don't have to have all this stuff and have it on different shelves and whatnot. But if you are going to have like a private chef come in and you're going to be doing that on a regular basis, then I agree. Something like that, something that's close to a commercial refrigerator, freezer would be a good idea. I don't think she's wrong.
Well, I do. To the thing, we have a theory that this home is being designed as either an event space or a long-term rental for celebrities that are entertaining in Vegas, right? In which case, the speakeasy and the bar and all of that stuff makes sense for that type of venue. And maybe if that's what you're doing, if you're hosting big events and things like that, maybe the walk-in fridge does make sense.
Yeah, totally.
For a family home, I don't think it makes sense, and it doesn't, and it can be dangerous, right? Because the kid can get stuck in a walk-in fridge.
I agree. For a family home, it's a terrible decision. Mm-hmm. But so is the speakeasy. I'm just trying to find a way to make this house make sense. And if you're gonna go. I mean, don't pretend over here that you're doing it for, a new family with a baby, and then over here do it for geriatric people because they're going to have a live-in nurse, and then over here do it for some celebrity, that's going to have a disco party every night. Because then your house is stupid.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense. But if they're going to go and that's what they're going to do, which they seem to want to with the speakeasy, then do it.
Yeah, but the problem is they're already over budget without doing the walk-in fridge.
Totally. Yeah,
so it wasn't a luxury that they could afford.
They couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it was just 10 grand,
okay.
10, 15 grand. But,
Okay, well,
they're done anyway. They're not going to win. They're not going to win the overall. They're done. Done. Team, why are you showing up?
Oh, I love Taniya.
I do too. I like the team. It just hurts my heart. It hurts my heart. But to stick a fork in them.
All right. Well, with that, I'm going to walk out for a minute and we'll be right back. All right, Stephen, now it's time to talk about our final contestants, Scott and Brooke.
I have to object. So whenever we talk about Scott and Brooke, I always have to go back. Oh, I was going to say it doesn't give me a chance to go back and talk about another team. No, this is perfect. I've got all 3 teams that I can pull from. That's what Scott and Brooke should always be last, so I can always go back. If they were first, I don't know what I'd do.
Well, Scott and Brooke continued their antics this week as the Scott and Brooke show, with Scott as the straight man, focused on design, and Brooke is the wacky sidekick.
Yeah.
I think we've got that now. In fact, at one point, I don't know what Brooke was doing, but she was talking about something, and Scott turned and looked to the camera just like Jim Halpert would always do in The Office when, somebody Dwight would do something crazy and Jim would just give this look to the camera. Scott gave that exact look.
That was when she was shaking the paint can. Shake, shake, shake.
So anyway, it's that dynamic.
I can answer that. Having been a bartender years ago, I know why they shake it the way they do.
Please tell us.
It's a part of the show.
Oh.
It's just dramatic effect. Like on Cocktail when he's flipping it around, which I've never tried. I think it'd be too much of a mess to try to clean up. But shaking it up, that's just kind of part of the whole show. Putting on a show and trying to entertain your patrons. The more you entertain your patrons, hopefully the more they tip, and that's what you're looking for. You're trying to, the good drinks, the nice show, and hopefully it pays off when they pay the tab.
Yep.
That's what it's for. Otherwise, doesn't matter. Things mix together just fine.
Okay, well, let's talk about what they did this week. I was not in love with their design. I think they probably won based on creativity and added value, but not on design. I didn't love the look of their cabinets, and there were a lot of those cabinets. I like
$22,750 worth of cabinets, worth of modern farmhouse cabinets. That's that's what it looked like to me. I'm like, where's John?
They had a very rustic look. It didn't read modern hacienda to me.
No.
And then the stone they chose was very pretty, but I didn't think it was a good complement to the cabinets.
No, they didn't go together well.
No.
But I like the granite. I just didn't like the cabinet, so I would keep the granite, which supported the white outlet cover just fine. I got my shower niche and I got my outlet covers. I'm a very simple man. Mm-hmm. I don't know how in the world they wound up picking it. It did look like it would match whatever they had, that little cabinet back in the bedroom that Vanderpump didn't like. And,
they probably let Brooke
rustic.
pick it.
But
yeah.
But they apparently didn't get dinged on it. But it was consistent.
It was consistent. One thing that I really loved about their design was the continued use of arches very thoughtfully. So they had a arch between the kitchen and the living room, which I love having just that little bit of separation between the kitchen room and the other room. It's still open, but you've got a well-defined space. And then they mirrored that arch by having an arch over the stove, which I thought looked great. And then on the stove hood, they put those Corvols on the side, which they attached the shelving to. They had shelving from the cupboards to the stove on either side that were, underneath the arch. And I thought overall the effect of how they did that arch and the shelving and everything really worked.
Yeah, and I guess they used plaster over the vent hood, and then it had some sort of curvatures to it, some features to it, which just kind of probably didn't cost $10,000 to have that type of look. And had somebody wanted to do that, they could have painted it with the same paint color that they used on the fireplace the other day.
No.
But the arches did tie everything together. I thought it did look very consistent, and then the way they took all of the cabinetry down into the morning room, M-O-R, not M-O-U, morning room. I guess it's a morning room M-O-U for Taniya and Drew, but M-O-R morning for Brooke and Scott.
Yeah, that was a really smart decision, bringing the cabinetry all the way into the morning room and then having a plumbed coffee maker there. Oh, near to my heart.
Yeah, I think they should have like a little vegetable sink or something like that with it would have been nice to have just so you've got a little bit water there, but that not a big miss.
Not a big miss. And I could see sort of hanging out there for a while, having a breakfast, having a drink, reading the daily news on your tablet or whatever, and having a couple, cappuccinos here and there. That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Paige did mention that they should have taken the plaster that they had over the stove, that arch, and carried that over to the morning room. And I do think that would have been nice. That would have tied the whole space together. Probably time became their enemy there. But if you were buying that house, that would be a great suggestion for something to do.
Yeah, or somehow to because of how nice the kitchen looked and how it all flowed into the morning room. The top of the morning room did kind of look like it was forgotten, unfinished. And so I think, doing something up there to reconnect that wall, the top of the wall, back to the kitchen, which everything else is, probably not that. I mean, there are creative ways that you could do it, and they missed it. I don't really think that's going to be a problem either in the final value or anything. But it's just kind of a nice little touch, right? Kind of like having a color appropriate outlet.
Well, and they went with the double island. Stephen, as you and as I guess my fans of Talk the Block know, I am not a huge double island fan.
No.
This one, I guess it was okay as far as double islands go. I mean, at least the islands look the same, and they had some dark wood material on the base of the island, which they desperately needed because the cabinets were all very light wood.
Yeah, what they had, the waterfall edges with that on the granite. When we were talking about the double island and kind of comparing having two islands to having one massive one. A massive one doesn't appeal to me at all. I don't really get the double island. People are sitting eating at one and you're over at the other. Unless you've got a helper. And that's when I started thinking, well, if you have a sous chef, and then the sous chef can be working, on the other side, and then you guys are, you and your sous chef are in close proximity, but not in the way. And I thought, well, in that case, it makes sense. And so from that standpoint, I said, oh, okay, when if I was suing for you or you were suing for me, then, we could be working with the same ingredients without having to be in each other's way. And I think that's a value. And if you're entertaining, I can see that. So speaking of which, I have no idea what Mina was talking about when she didn't want her back to people. That wasn't the ninja position for cooking. I have no clue.
Yeah, that went over my head.
Whatever she's worried about. I don't know. Should she have the stove in the middle?
Do people attack her while she's cooking?
I don't know. Maybe she needs that mirror. If she had the mirror over the stove, then, she could keep an eye on people. He's moving in. That guy's coming at me. Where's my knife? Now, speaking of which, I'm not a fan of those metallic knife holders that I guess Kim and Chelsea had. See, I'm bringing everybody into the conversation.
There you go, Stephen. And no need to have a clear line of direction on this podcast. Let's just pop around from one team to the next.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Well, I could see it. Yeah, if you had a sous chef, and if you had the double island, you would probably mostly use that second island for people eating at. But I guess if you really had heavy prep work, like you were doing a lot of baking or something like that, and you needed the extra space, you'd have an extra prep space. So I don't know. It's not my favorite aesthetically. No. I can see some utility in it. Yeah,
but I did. It did hearken me back to the Old Kids on the Block last season, where they did not have two islands. They had an island and a table because it was not fixated to the floor. It was a table, but they got dinged for having two lights over both of those. And so I started wondering if it was the same circumstance here. What do you think about that?
I didn't think it was as obviously cluttered as the Old Kids on the Block, but I do think it would have been better maybe to have one light fixture over both, or maybe have one ball in the middle over one and two balls over the other, or something, right? Those four sort of round ball lights that they had over them, it was a lot. So, I don't know.
Yeah, from different angles, it just kind of, I started wondering what they were doing. It was one of those things that maybe the islands were longer and could support two lights than the old kids on the block. But I think seeing it in person will make a big difference. I think that when you're looking at it on TV, the angles aren't necessarily representative. Like some of those pantries, second kitchens, looked like you would have to kind of shimmy down sideways to get in them. And I'm sure they're not that tight.
Yeah.
Maybe they are, but they look awful narrow.
Yeah. Well, I will say one thing that Scott and Brooke did that Chelsea and Kim did not is they were not afraid of buying appliances, 2 microwaves, 2 dishwashers, 2 sinks. They put a window in the prep kitchen so that you had more light there over the sink. 2 ovens. I mean, they really
leaned in on the kitchen.
2 refrigerators. Yep. Yes, everything. And so that will add value. And, if you're going to have a second kitchen, have a second kitchen. It was practical from that perspective.
Yeah, and the tiki bar turned out a little bit better than I thought it might.
I thought it was great. I thought that really looked nice with the mirrored back and sort of the green bottom.
I told you, as soon as they showed that, I got confused what team because it looked so much like Kim and Chelsea's.
It did look a lot like their bar.
That suddenly I was not sure what I was looking at, so kind of had to back that one up and start it over. I thought that looked really good, really convenient to have that kind of pass-through kitchen, butler's pantry on the way to the dining room. And smart.
Yeah, they had the arch doors from that room through the foyer to the dining room. And it really was like a butler's pantry, and that would set up really well. You could stage your dishes there, bring them across the dining room. Mm-hmm. And if you needed to, I think they had a wine refrigerator in there. They had everything in there.
Wine refrigerator.
So you needed another bottle of wine, or you needed, somebody needed their drink refreshed. It's right across the hall there with that nice bar. So I felt that it was attractive and very practical. And it was the most creative use of that back kitchen space, really, to sort of turn it into a butler's pantry. So I would say that, like the extending the cupboards out to the morning room and having the coffee bar, and then having sort of the butler's pantry effect in the back kitchen, in addition to all of the appliances they had, which were added value, really was the reason they took home the win. I would say aesthetically, to me at least, this kitchen was not the most to my taste, but they made some good decisions about added value and creative design that I think won it for them. What's your opinion, Stephen?
I was just going back because Paige did comment on one of the teams actually had a real pantry. And I was trying to figure out which team that was. I know
it was Taniya and Drew.
I know Taniya and Drew still had one, but they still had doors on the entryway to the pantry, which didn't make any sense to me. I think there was another team that had storage, but they didn't have. But it was just open to going in, which I think makes a lot more sense. Maybe that was Kim and Chelsea, because I got lots of storage down for them. But I think having. I think having a pantry is really handy, but what you really do need is storage. So as long as you've got storage, I think is having a real pantry going to be a value add versus having the second kitchen? I don't know. I think it is. I think at least in the final appraisal, it will appraise more. Whether it's more useful or not, I guess, still depends on the people that buy the house
and who ends up buying this house.
Who ends up buying the house? Yeah.
But anyway, so I think that's how it boiled down. Scott and Brooke get their second win. So we have one win for Scott and Brooke, and two wins for Scott and Brooke, and one win for Kim and Chelsea. And Mina and Taniya are still without a win. So we have 2 teams that have yet to win.
Yeah, but to your point, Mina and Vernon have $130K left, followed closely by Kim and Chelsea with $120. Scott and Brooke have $110. And then Taniya, because I've got it misspelled. No wonder I mispronounce it. Taniya and Drew have $90K left, and so it's going
to be hard for them to make a comeback.
Hard for them to make a comeback. Yeah. So talking about the judging, one of the things that I did this past week was I went back and I watched every episode of Rock the Block from the standpoint of trying to see who were the judges and who were the winners. And so I now have a spreadsheet.
Okay, before we go into the spreadsheet, let's take one quick break.
Okay. Yeah, so just some of the things that we're working on here, not just talking off the top of our heads, which is pretty much what I do. Amy kind of plans out what she's going to do. But yeah, so I've gone back and I've created the spreadsheet where I've got everybody that has judged every season and everything. And that way we can, because she comes up to me and she goes, "Oh, wasn't she the judge on this?" And I was like, "Well, I don't remember, but now I know. Now I know exactly what Paige was involved with over the course of the show."
Do you want to share with our listeners what Paige has been involved with over the course of the show, Stephen?
Well, it's on the sheet. Did our listeners not get the sheet? Paige Turner of Love It Enlisted. And interestingly enough, this was the thing that kind of got me. And we need to go back and watch this, Flip or Flop Nashville. So we weren't living in Nashville at the time, but 2018, 2019, she had a show, Flip or Flop Nashville. So now I want to go back and watch that. But she was a contestant on season 4 and 5. She won the living room in 4, won the kitchen and main suite in season 5. She was the judge of the living room in season 2, and in season 3, she judged the main suite. So she's been involved every season except 1 and 6. Mm-hmm. So yeah, kudos to her.
The other thing that I would say about Paige, I'm not sure why she decided to dress like Catwoman for judging this week. Right. She had black leather on from head to toe, and she looked great, don't get me wrong, but I'm like, this is Las Vegas, man. What? All that leather has to be like really hot, you know?
Yeah, if she's outside. But it does beg the question, when they were filming this, and given that like this week during the final wrap-up, I noticed that Kim had her jacket on. Mina had her shirt. She had a flannel shirt on. And then I think Taniya also had something else on. So I think it might have been a little chilly.
All right. Well, so maybe chilly. Her black leather head-to-toe outfit was
not a
June,
for the weather. July outfit for Vegas, but maybe just fine for that time of day, that time of the year. Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we've covered everything from the kitchen episode. Anything that we missed, Stephen, that you want to add on at the end here?
Well, Scott and Brooke did take the $3,000 again.
Oh, yeah, they're letting it roll.
Yeah, they're taking the money and they're going to do something stupid with it. Maybe what are they? Let's see. Next week they're doing the multi-gen suite.
And there's probably a lot of good things they could do with it there.
One would hope. One would hope. Maybe put Paige in charge of, or Brooke in charge of what to do with it this time.
Oh no! Do not put.
I think we should. I think the show should.
You're going to have 70s flowered wallpaper and strobe lighting and neon signs on the wall. I don't know what you're going to get.
I don't know. Yeah, but I think it would be memorable.
It would be memorable.
So
it would be fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So next week they're doing that. In the description it says they're doing multi-generational suites, plural. So I don't. In the diagram that we saw, there's only one, but there's rooms that are not in the mix, right?
Well, but there's 4 houses, thus there are 4 suites.
Yes, but they don't say foyers, dens, and great rooms, or bedrooms. This is the RV garages. It's all singular.
All right. Well, we will see.
And this is maybe it's just an editing mistake, or maybe this is considered a suite that they're going to have to do. I'm sure everybody listening to this can tell one, but right up above it,
there is a space that's not labeled.
Spaces that looks like it's a bedroom. So what are they doing with that?
Okay.
Yeah.
And so it also looks like they're going to judge each other next year.
The competitors judge each other next week. Yep.
So do you think they're going to throw Brooke and Scott under the bus because they've already won twice?
I don't know. It's I mean, it's up to each team, right? I mean,
I don't think they will. I think they'll try to judge them fairly. Now, if they're on the fence, they're probably not going to give another win to Brooke and Scott. But I think if they clearly think they have the best one, these contestants are pretty upfront about it.
Yeah, but I think they might promote somebody if they're close over Scott and Brooke. I think it will probably hurt all their hearts personally if they have to rank Scott and Brooke on top, because that would be yet another win.
And not only have they won twice, I think, Scott, comes off as a little bit cocky, and that's rubbing some of the contestants the wrong way. Yeah,
Brooke was had a very calm demeanor when she picked up the $3,000 this week. Yeah, she didn't. She was waving the money and dancing around too. I noticed they caught Mina. Oh, they showed Mina dipping her head again. But maybe that was just maybe that wasn't. It's all in the editing. Whether that happened at the same time or not, I don't know, but that's what they showed on the TV show.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, anyway, so that's all I got.
All right, Stephen. Well, hey, this has been fun. It was a fun episode. I'm so glad you all joined. Again, we are Amy and Stephen. We are not associated with HGTV or with Landon Homes or
Big Table Media.
We are not contractors. We are not designers. We are just two people that enjoy the show and have done a lot of remodeling on our homes personally. So we are happy to be here with you, and we can't wait. Hope you'll join us again next week for Talk the Block.